So welcome to really a spectacular weekend, and thank you for coming out on a Saturday morning in the desert where there's so many other wonderful things to do, but we think this is a very special thing to do because as a central part of this opening weekend for Sunnylands, we created what we're calling the Sunnylands moment, which is a time for discussion and reflection. In 2001, the Annenbergs created the Annenberg Foundation Trust at Sunnylands, which we also call the Annenberg Retreat at Sunnylands, as a venue for small, high-level, nonpartisan meetings that would help to improve the world. Their goals and our mission statement are set forth in a declaration of trust, which is actually the language of it is in your programs today. You can find it at the last page of your programs if you want to know what it is that is our mission. As a general rule, the most important meetings that we have won't be open to the public. In fact, it may be that our most important meetings won't even be known to the public, and we'll make that claim. But for the opening, the trustees felt that we should have a public dialogue on the topics that they hold most dear. Therefore, this session is not only open to the press, but it's also being webcast and can be seen and stored. It'll be stored on the web forever for people who want to learn about Sunnylands and about the important topics that we're discussing today. And if you're tweeting, if those of you want to learn about tweeting, by the way, look at your neighbor may be tweeting, you can use the hashtag SunnylandsMoment. But before we start, I want to ask the trustees to stand so that we can thank them for our leadership. Could I ask the trustees to stand so that we can thank you for your leadership? And the trustees are all descendants of Leonore and Walter Annenberg. In a few minutes, Judy Woodruff, the great journalist who now serves as the host and senior correspondent for the PBS NewsHour, and who, by the way, was a correspondent covering Ronald Reagan during his presidency, parked out in front of Sunnylands during those New Year's Eves, which many of you were a part of. So she can tell you about what it's like to be parked outside while you tell her what it's like to celebrate inside. Anyway, she's going to come to the stage and serve as the moderator of 3 discussions with terrific panels on issues identified in the Declaration of Trust in areas where the Annenbergs focused most of their remarkable philanthropy. The panels will feature leaders from the worlds of national security, the arts, and education. The panelists are in your program, all of the names in their biographies, but I want to just highlight one change. Antonio Villaraigosa, the mayor of Los Angeles, who's also the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, was so enthusiastic about our plans that he decided to join us in the panel today, and we're thrilled to have Mayor Villaraigosa with us. Our remarkable panelists represent the past and the future of Sunnylands, the vision of Walter and Leonore Annenberg, and the vision of their descendants, who are our trustees. But first, before those panels start, it's really my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, and I might say my boss in my other life as a member of the USC faculty, C.L. Max Nikias, the president of the University of California. You can learn of Southern California. My boss corrects me. You can learn about President Nikias in this program and about his work in creating the leading multimedia research center in the world at USC, his work as the dean of the USC School of Engineering, the Viterbi School of Engineering, and as provost and now as the president of USC, where he's already made an incredible mark, and part of that mark has a role right here in the desert, which you'll hear about. But I want to add a personal story of my own. I have many stories about Max that I can share, but one that I want to share this morning with all of you. Because Max and his wife, Nikki, who's here this morning also, came here as graduate students from Cyprus, where they were among the incredible international students who do so much to bring vitality to this country and to our higher education. But while they were here, they learned both the excitement of being here as an international student, but also the ways in which international students can be kind of lonely when they're here. And so when Max became the president of USC, he and Nikki started a tradition in which they invited those international students who were at USC and didn't have any place to go to come to their home as their guests on Thanksgiving. It's the kind of gesture that the Annenbergs would have done. It's the kind of gesture that I think speaks for the importance of this wonderful institution. Please join me in welcoming the president of the University of Southern California, CL Max Nikias.
Thank you, Jeff, and good morning, everyone. Jeff refers to the University of California. That comes from his years at UCLA. So it is a great privilege for my wife, Nikki, and I to be a part of a gathering such as this. This weekend's activities embody the intent of Walter and Lee Annenberg and the Annenberg family when they established the Annenberg Foundation Trust at Sunnylands in 2001 to, and I'm quoting, to address serious issues facing the nation and the world community. I believe we cannot overstate the benefits that result when the right organizations are able to convene the right people in the right place. In previous centuries, a sense of place meant everything. All human interactions happen within physical space, within a place. Today, many believe that space and a sense of place have been erased altogether by new technologies that connect us in real time to the farthest corners of the planet and even to the space beyond. But they forget no amount of technology, no amount of virtual reality can change the fact that humans live in community and we live for community. Humankind's status as social animals will never change. Indeed, the wiser experts foresaw that high-tech and high-touch would always be connected. The more that we live our lives through technology, the more we cry out for real human community that meets in a physical place. But what of this particular place, this particular space in time, right here in Southern California? When my university, USC, was founded in 1880, Southern California was a very remote, dusty outpost in the American Wild West, thousands of miles removed from the power centers of this nation. Who was the educated woman or man of that era? It was someone who had a grasp of events and history in North America and Europe, a knowledge of the Eurocentric Atlantic region. And for most of this time, Asia and the Pacific were viewed for their rich natural resources rather than for their astonishing intellectual and cultural capital. Yet the center of gravity in our world has been shifting. Today, this region is America's new gateway to the world, a physical and cultural and commercial connector to a Pacific century that bears little resemblance to the world we have known. 40 years ago, the economic relationship between Germany and South Korea was like that between a full-grown adult and an infant. Germany had a GDP per capita advantage of 7-1. Today, the ratio is more like 3-2, more like that of an older sibling and a younger sibling, with the younger one growing at a far faster rate. Today, East Asia alone has a GDP roughly equal to all of North America. South Asia alone has a GDP equal to Western Europe, and Latin America now has an economy equal to Western Europe. We may ascribe some of the Asian success simply to the gigantic size of China and India, which alone house close to 40% of the world's population. But even if we exclude those two nations from Asia, the rest of the continent will remain competitive with Europe. So we may indeed be witnessing the rise of the rest of the world. But recent history shows this need not be bad news for the United States. According to the Gallup organization and the study they did, a little over a quarter of a century ago, most leading economists, whether liberal or conservative, predicted that American economic growth would fall behind Japan and Germany by the year 2007. They typically estimated that Japan's annual gross domestic product would be roughly $5 trillion by now, with Germany at around $4 trillion, and the United States lagging behind at roughly $3.5 trillion. The predictions for Japan and Germany were reasonably accurate, but America's GDP grew to $13 trillion. How did the United States nearly quadruple the estimates of the world's best economists more than a quarter of a century ago? One key is that these economists had based their guesses on a nation's quantity of natural resources, not on the quality of its intellectual capital or its ability to put the intellectual capital to use. America's surprising economic growth has been traced back by the Gallup organization to 1,000 rainmakers, and some 60% of whom were foreign-born persons who were educated at American universities. This meant that the United States had a unique edge in terms of the talent and the environment that was necessary for growth. The revolutions of technology that we have witnessed the past 50 years, in electronics, in space technology, in satellite communications, in personal computing, in wireless communications, in the internet, information technology, were all American revolutions. The United States innovated while others imitated. A repeat of this success will require forward thinking, strategy, and investment in the face of an emerging Asia and stiffer competition around the globe. So allow me to offer some perspective on the commitments that the University of Southern California has made in light of this new era. USC was founded by men and women who believed a great university could move Los Angeles from the status of a dusty village to a great national center. And USC provided the manpower and the woman power and the intellectual capital for this rapid rise. Today, Southern California stands as the most dynamic and diverse crossroads of a new era. And where there are crossroads, there are connections and collisions. And from those connections and collisions comes commerce, comes new culture, comes creativity. I believe that Southern California promises the next gold rush intellectually and culturally, thanks to the interplay of elite institutions such as USC and Caltech and UCLA and many other colleges, thanks to Californians' preeminence and connection, thanks to USC having more international students and international alums than any other American university, and thanks to the hundreds of Pacific and global cultures who have made Southern California their chief meeting place. In an earlier age, the age of the Mediterranean, it was said, 1,000 roads all lead to Rome. As the world tilts from the Atlantic toward the Pacific, we want all intellectual roads to lead to Southern California and, of course, to our universities. Why USC is a distinctly different enterprise that imitates no one, I do believe my university, as an American research university, has a chance to serve as an intellectual and cultural engine in this century, in much the way Oxford University emerged earlier, in an earlier century, as the intellectual engine of the British Commonwealth nations. USC intends to be at the forefront of experimentation of East-West ideas. We intend to bring the best American and international talent to Southern California to be refined in a unique intellectual crucible, within a dynamic blend of the arts and humanities and culture, and cutting-edge sciences, medicine and technology, and social sciences and professions. This then captures USC's own lofty, some would say audacious goals for the coming years. Such goals will require persistence and determination and ongoing reinvention. After all, the person or organization or institution who is adequately suited for the challenges of the year 2015 may not be suited for the challenges of 2025. So many of our assumptions will have to be cleared away. Ours is a time of renewal for ourselves, for our families, for our nation. A time of renewal in the midst of uncertainty and even chaos. Who can bring cosmos from the chaos? Who are the entities, the organizations, the institutions who can play Promethean roles in the coming era? I personally believe the heroes of the coming century will be the philanthropists. Philanthropic individuals and communities and organizations and even societies. The word philanthropist, of course, indicates one who acts out of love for humanity. This love has taken many expressions. Plato indicated that knowledge and learning were the greatest gifts to be passed along from one generation to the next, so that the common condition might be improved. We spent this weekend in the warm company of the Annenberg family, who themselves icons of philanthropy in the best spirit of Plato. Their work has been tied intimately and strategically to a vision of education that binds humanity together. And our beloved friend Wallace Annenberg has continued a proud family legacy that has redefined what success is and what success is for. At USC, the Annenberg family's greatest contribution has been in helping us revolutionize the fields of communication and journalism in order to connect and inform people across continents and generations. And connection in a philanthropic spirit is what is needed for the challenges of this new age of the Pacific. Our best entrepreneurs are shrewd and nimble. Our best research universities are powerful innovation engines, and they are also society's most enduring institutions. Our best government leaders bring energy and imagination and passion for serving their people. All of these have the opportunity to work together at this moment in this place to do what they cannot do on their own. All these can work interdependently so that we address our greatest challenges and so we can generate untold new possibilities for ourselves and for posterity. And let us work together with gratitude to the Annenberg family who made this extraordinary weekend possible. Thank you.